Hello, welcome to the IERLab podcast. Now, who is IERLab? Now, IERLab is the Influencer Ethnography Research Lab located at Curtin University in Perth, Western Australia. What do? We specialize in the methodologies and the pedagogies of influencer research. I'm your host, Walter Lee, and I'm here to bring you, our listeners, a more in-depth look on what's going on in the world of influencer cultures. Our series will feature researchers, scholars, and students on influencer culture. Today, we will be focusing on fan communities, in particular, ones associated with mega pop star Harry Styles and the biggest K-pop band in the world, BTS. But it's not so much the shining stars that we'll be focusing on, rather than the influencers within those fan communities. Those influencers who spend thousands of dollars to attend every concert and bulk buy loads of albums. The ones who wait in line for hours upon hours just to get a signature or a photo. And for that, let's introduce today's guest. Today's guest is a PhD candidate in the Department of Internet Studies in the School of Media, Culture, Social Inquiry at Curtin University. She's especially interested in research fields like youth and popular cultures, digital intimacies, platform and influencer studies, gender and popular music fandom. She is currently working on the concept of gender expression with the social, digitalized environments of idol fan communities. Welcome to the show, Janey Umback.
Hello.
It's lovely to have you here today, and it's lovely to actually get a chance to talk about one of the biggest bands in the world, BTS. Well, not so much about them, that's the thing. And also Harry Styles, which, I'm not a fan of him, but, some of his
What?
songs are pretty good, I have to
Oh,
admit.
Walter, how can you admit such a thing?
Oh, well,
Hey,
see,
shut
One
your mouth a
Direction's a
minute.
bit better, I think. I think One Direction had some really good songs, and then Harry kind of, they all went their separate ways. I know the drama that goes on with that band, but yes, I got to say that I think Harry Styles. Would you say Harry Styles is the modern day like Mick Jagger?
Oh, look. Yes,
Yeah.
potentially. I think he wants to be, definitely. Uh, I guess what we need to wait and see is if his career has the longevity of Mick Jagger's, which so far it appears it will have.
Yeah.
Thanks to his utilization of social media and his fan community.
Yeah, well, it's
Yeah,
quite interesting because that's who I think. Like, I guess it's also not just the way he sings or the fact that he's a huge superstar, but the way he dresses is very Mick Jagger-esque, I would say.
yeah,
But
definitely,
yeah,
definitely, and like interestingly, his appearance on Saturday Night Live back in, I think it was 2017. It was when he was first launching his solo career. He
mm,
actually made an appearance as Mick Jagger on the show, so I think he kind of sees that
that
that comparison
comparison.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
definitely.
Excellent. Well, sadly, it's not really about Harry Styles today or BTS specifically. Well, first, let me ask you a question because it's become a theme on the show to first ask how you got
Sure.
into your research. Like, I'm curious why fan communities, and especially of Harry Styles and of BTS, were you a part of these communities yourself? Or I guess the easiest answer is that these fan communities are following arguably the biggest music superstars of this decade, and so therefore
Mhm.
would have a lot of things to research. But was there something else that interested you?
I was I guess, look, let me try not to go off on a very long tangent here, but I spent a couple of years living in the UK, and when I
Hmm.
lived in the UK, I would watch The X Factor religiously.
Ah.
And when I moved back to Australia, I continued to watch it through people who would like illegally upload it onto YouTube. So I kind of kept that connection with the UK once I'd moved back home.
Hmm.
And I watched the series that One Direction were on.
Hmm.
At that time, I was more interested. There was a contestant whose name was Cher Lloyd,
Hmm.
and
Ah,
she was
yes.
quite, yeah, do you remember?
Yeah, yeah.
She
The
was
name rings a
quite,
bell.
yeah, she was quite controversial because of her background. So she had a lot of tabloid stories that were published about her. So to be honest with you, she kind of drew my attention more than 1D
Oh,
did,
really?
which is funny to think about. But I became quite active on Tumblr. I used to run my own kind of social media website-y kind of thing.
Hmm.
And maybe cut that bit out. That sounded a bit but, so I was quite active on Tumblr, and as I began to use Tumblr in around, let's say, 2012, 2013, One Direction would constantly appear on my feed,
Oh, wow.
and Harry in particular just started appearing over and over and over on my Tumblr feed, and I started to connect the dots between the band that I'd seen when I'd been watching The X Factor and then this guy that was all over Tumblr.
Mhm.
And I became really, really interested in why he was becoming so popular on Tumblr. At that
Mm.
stage, I started going to university. I was a mature age student at university. And to be honest with you, I kind of framed every time I got the chance to frame my own research question or decide my own essay question for a university subject, I would frame it around Harry Styles.
Okay.
Just because I thought it was so interesting the way that his fan community in particular were utilizing platforms like Tumblr, like Twitter, to really like push this, I don't want to say agenda, but it was
Mm.
definitely the first time I'd seen a fan community use social media in such an active way, and it really drew my attention.
So no fans of like Niall, was he Niall or Zayn or Lewis or Liam? Like no interest in those guys?
Well, I don't know. It was really Harry. I think that he was marketed as the star from the beginning of the
Yeah.
band. He was always the center, he was always the focus. And then I personally have a big interest in, say, fashion
Mm.
and beauty and that type of thing. And I really was attracted to his fashion choices, to be honest with you. It's that superficial. So and then it kind of grew from there.
Well, how about BTS? What actually interested you about BTS?
So there is a really well-known pipeline that is discussed within the fan community, which is like a One Direction to BTS pipeline.
Oh,
When
wow.
yeah, when sorry, not BTS, when One Direction went on their hiatus
Mm.
in 2016, a lot of fans moved over into K-pop because they were the only real space that boy bands or idol groups were active at that
Mm.
time. And I guess the appeal with boy bands is, it's the intergroup dynamics, it's the personality of the members, and sometimes that takes priority over, say, their music or that type of thing. So it was a natural progression from 1D to BTS.
Mm.
I was also, because I was quite active on Tumblr, I was quite I knew a lot of Halsey. Like Halsey was huge on Tumblr. And
Mm.
when she did her collaboration Boy with Love with BTS, that was all over my Tumblr feed. So that was really where I started to get to know them.
Mm.
Just at the same time, I was working in a makeup school. My background is makeup education. So I was teaching a lot of makeup students that were coming to school and they were telling me about this boy band that they really loved,
Mm.
a BTS. And so I just kind of joined all the dots together and yeah, here I am.
It's quite interesting because yeah, like I grew up, like I'm an 80s baby, and I grew up in the 90s where boy bands were the thing. I mean, you had Backstreet Boys, you had NSYNC, you had 98 Degrees, you had all these other boy bands, and it
Mhm.
does seem like there are a lot less these days, except for obviously the K-pop bands that are coming out. There's tons of K-pop boy bands, but
Yeah,
as far as like Western boy bands, like they're not as much as I can't really think
that's
of
true.
anyone except like One Direction, but they've broken up. But we're actually not
Five
here.
Seconds of Summer would be
Ah,
you.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
Representing Australia
Are they
there.
a boy band or are they sort of like a hashtag
Oh,
rock band?
maybe maybe they're a bit of both.
But we're actually not actually going to focus on the superstars. It's more of the
Yeah.
influences within
Mhm.
these fan communities. Now, what I'm kind of curious about is the fact that there are influencers in these communities. Now, does being an influencer of a fan community somewhat take like the shine off being an influencer since their main goal is to look at the idols or the bands that they worship rather than the actual influencer? does it take a little bit of shine off being an influencer if you are I guess, the most followed person in that fan community?
I don't think so. I
Mm,
think if we think about influencers in general, they always need like an angle to
mm,
convey what type of influencer they are. Like you'll have a fashion influencer or a beauty influencer, and they kind of
mm,
highlight their taste and their expertise by doing, say, clothing hauls or makeup demonstrations, that type of thing. So
mm,
to me, there's not that much difference because instead of focusing on, say, beauty or fashion,
mm.
these people are focusing on, in terms of what I'm studying, they're focusing on an idol rather
Okay.
than say a makeup palette.
For example, a lot of people who follow, let's say, BTS or Harry Styles,
Mhm.
uh, do they also want to meet these influencers of the fan communities as well? Is that also like a part of what they want to do? Not just, go to the concerts of BTS or whatever. They want to also meet the influencers within these community groups?
Yeah, absolutely. And in a lot of ways, the influences within these fan communities work as a almost like a bridge between the celebrity or the idol and the wider fan community. So
Mm,
there's someone that if you're just a regular fan,
mm,
I mean, not that there are regular fans, but if you're a fan, let's say you're a fan of Harry, um, you've got more chance of being able to communicate with an influencer, to meet an influencer, to ask them questions rather
mhm.
than talking to Harry.
So
Um,
does the influencers, do they usually have some sort of like communication with example Harry or BTS, or is it still,
mhm.
the same as any other fan, just this person is more interesting as an example?
Well, I mean, there are definitely rumors
Hmm.
that a lot of the big influencers within the fan communities do have like insider connections,
Mm,
particularly with Harry because he's a really unique example because he doesn't use social media. So
okay.
he will use, say, his Instagram account when he's on tour. He might post a photo from, whatever night he played in Sydney or Melbourne or Bangkok or wherever it was. He'll might post a photo. But unlike most celebrities, he doesn't use social media. So it all comes down to his fandom.
Mm.
So there are definitely a lot of rumors that the big influencers in the Harry fandom have connections with his management and they get insider knowledge.
Oh, okay.
Um, I would say that's also true of the BTS fandom. However, they are more active on social media. And so
Hmm.
there's probably less need for that insider um, connection, shall we say.
Yeah, I think especially when it comes to K-pop, marketing is huge. It's absolutely one of the biggest
For sure.
things for K-pop. I mean, especially these days that K-pop has now broken international waters like no other. I mean, it's been around for decades, but it's only been within the last, I'd say, what, 5 to 10 years that it's really
Mhm.
gone abroad and spread like wildfire. And obviously, we can thank bands like BTS, Super Junior, Big Bang, etc., like that
Yeah.
for spreading K-pop around the
Mhm.
world. But I noticed that everything needs to sort of be on the level of social media as well because all the big names have it. Now, I don't know if they're managed. I think some of them might be rather than the
Mhm.
actual be the idol. But I follow a few different idols on Instagram. They seem to be pretty genuine. They seem to be the ones who are uploading. But yeah,
Yeah.
arguably being on social media is the only way I think K-pop will get any bigger. And then
Mhm.
obviously you have um multiple upon like thousands upon thousands of mini pages dedicated to this one idol. I can't believe how many pages there are, to be honest with you. Every time I click on something, it's a new page or for twice or new
Mm,
page
mhm.
for BTS. So social media has been such a helpful tool for K-pop. Now, these influencers that we're talking about, are they
Yeah.
seen like as leaders rather than sort of influencers, like leaders of the pack of Harry Style fans or leaders of the pack of BTS fans?
I think in a lot of ways they are, but I don't really think that's different to how other influencers function.
Mm,
Like I said, with say a fashion influencer or a beauty influencer, I think they're also seen as leaders of the field. And you'll see, I know there was a lot of debate recently about the amount of influencers there were at New York Fashion Week, for example. And a lot
mm,
of people were saying, oh, there shouldn't be influencers here, but they are leaders of the field. So yeah, to me, it's no different to that.
mm,
I think that a lot of these idols, be
mm,
it BTS or Harry, they know how important influencers are to their marketing strategy,
mm.
and definitely, as you said, it's the only way that that celebrities in general are going to be able to kind of increase their spread or
Yeah, yeah.
their
That
market worth.
So, like, just usually, like you said, with fashion and everything, a fashion influencer would wear the latest designs,
Mhm.
or whatever. Or like when it comes to food, they'll upload whatever it is. It tastes good, give a good review. When it comes
Yeah.
to these influencers, are they mainly putting up uh like just tour dates or where this person's going to be, or uh what are the main uploads that you will see from a fan community influencer?
Oh gosh, there's so much variation.
Mm,
You've got people, I guess, that traditionally in the K-pop fan community, you would consider them to be cafe nims. So you've got
mm,
the people that kind of host the web pages and the forums and that type of thing. Then you've got people that host group orders. So they're the people that might be based in, say, Australia, for example, or America, and they will take orders from people around the world to they might order in 200 copies of
mm,
BTS's latest album, and then they ship it out to the people that have purchased it off them.
mm.
And then you've got people that make fan edits and meme accounts, and update accounts, news accounts,
Yeah,
and then
there
you've
are
got the
there are
people,
tons of accounts, right?
oh, so many types. And then you've got the people like Harry, for example. He just finished a world tour about 3 months ago, or maybe
Hmm.
4 months ago now, but, his never-ending tour, it went for over 2 years.
Yeah.
But there were people that their job and they became influencers because they were literally going on to every show.
I don't know how they were well, that kind of brings me on to another question. Like,
Yeah.
do these influencers, are they able to make money, or are they, example, BTS's Hybe uh,
Mhm.
company, do they pay sometimes these influencers to be like, hey, we'd love you to, continuously upload these things about BTS. It's important for us, not only for their fan page, but like for
Yeah.
you as well. Are they able to make money? Because, these tickets, they're not cheap to get in, and
No,
especially
not
when
at
it
all.
comes to BTS, Harry Styles. I mean, I don't know how much tickets are these days, but I can't imagine they would be as cheap as they were a long time ago.
Oh, definitely. You're looking at, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for a ticket.
Hmm.
As for if they're being paid by the artist or the artist management or agencies, I don't think we would ever know, to be honest with you.
Oh.
But it's all very hush hush and kept very
Mm.
secret. They're able to leverage being an influencer through marketing, through a lot of them have their own merchandise lines, or they'll get collaborations with say, for example, when Harry's tour came to Australia, a lot of the influencers here were kind of advertising for nightclubs or
Oh.
like official after party events and that type of thing. So they are able to leverage collaborations in that way. I'm sure there are some that have the official
Mhm.
connections and collaborations, but yeah, it's very top secret.
Ah, okay, so almost probably illegal. So
Well, I don't know, illegal for us to know anyway.
Okay, so but, like, you said there was a pipeline between Harry Styles and BTS, which I found really
Yeah,
interesting.
okay.
They I don't know, would they have arguably a similar following, or is there a big difference between the 2 fan communities, or was it just the fact that One Direction, they they disbanded and therefore all the One Direction people moved to BTS? Or do you see like completely different styles of fan communities between both BTS and, let's say, Harry Styles, or BTS
Mm.
and One Direction?
Well, yeah, I think I hesitate to say that they oh gosh, I mean this yeah, it's difficult to answer. I hesitate to say that they're completely the same.
Mm,
However, there are similarities between them.
mm,
And I think this is probably because Harry is now a solo performer.
mm,
And so he's attracted a lot of what we call solos,
mm,
who are fans that became fans after One Direction went on hiatus.
mm.
And so they've kind of disrupted what the 1D fan community was originally. Whereas BTS, they're still the 7 members, although they've started their military enlistment and they're all doing their solo careers at the moment. They have said that in 2025 they'll come back together as a group. So I think although members have attracted solo fans,
Mm,
say for example, Jungkook did the FIFA World Cup
mhm,
official soundtrack last year, so he attracted a lot of solo fans through that.
mm.
But really, I think that yeah, you're more likely to find a solo fan in the Harry fan community rather than BTS.
A lot of
Oh, sorry.
people, no, 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 sorry. Like a lot of people are moving towards each individual member of BTS, I notice as well, and they're not
Yeah,
doing so much advertising as BTS. They're in like
true.
individually doing advertising as Jin, or like you said, Jungkook. They're all sort of separated. They're not as controversial as what One Direction has been, because One Direction can't. What I see on social media is just like each of them attacking each other, but specifically Zayn. And
Oh,
but it's a bit of a different thing when it came
mm.
to BTS. But yes, like you said, a lot of people are now going solo.
Yeah. I think that to discuss being a solo fan within BTS Army is very controversial.
Oh.
Very, very controversial. So I proceed with caution.
Yes,
uh,
I know that the K-pop fans out there, they are very aggressive, and
yeah,
they do really love their idols and their bands, and you know
absolutely.
you say one
I
wrong thing about them and then you'll be attacked.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I guess the joy of both groups is that and what most people focus on is the intergroup dynamics and the personalities of the idols.
Hmm.
And so that kind of within 1D and BTS, that kind of takes precedence over everything else. So
Hmm.
and I guess with Harry becoming a solo performer, it is totally different now.
Yeah.
There's kind of less emotional investment in having to follow all 5 of the original One Direction members, for
Hmm.
example. But a lot of influencers will focus their discussions on the personalities of the idols or like the intergroup dynamic between the idols rather
Hmm.
than focusing on their songs or their film clips or that type of thing. So I guess that also makes it easier for influencers to diversify in the type of content they're producing too. So someone might create an edit that's like, you know, RM or Namjoon
Hmm.
dropping things. That's quite a common edit that you'll see. But then they
Yeah.
might be able to diversify that and talk about his interest in art and the literature he reads and that type of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, I see a lot of those fan pages a lot, because I get them popping up on my news, my feed on Instagram or TikTok all the time, and there's always like things of like, what do they call it? The like things I love about this person, or things I love about that person,
Mhm.
or like the mistakes that this person makes all the time. There's just tons of different videos that come out of just what they watch on YouTube or even on concerts. It's very,
Yeah.
very, very interesting. And to be honest with you,
Yeah,
I do
totally.
get stuck in a wormhole sometimes watching it. But now you actually came to South Korea and you met up with a BTS fan influencer. Could
Mm-hmm.
you tell us like a little bit about your experience, and were there certain behaviors about fan community influences that you found different from, let's say, other influences?
So I've had some amazing experiences, I have to say, with army influencers. I've been to Seoul twice now.
Hmm.
And the second time I went was exactly a year ago, and that was for the Yet to Come Busan concert. And I
Ah.
got to this is not the story I'm about to tell, but I got to work with, and when I say work, I was helping with a group order, so I ended up having this kind of really interesting experience where I was bulk buying I
Oh,
was
really?
bulk buying albums so I could help with a group order for photo cards and that type of thing. But the story that I want to tell is yeah, the first time I went to Seoul, was really lucky to meet up with quite a popular YouTuber.
Hmm.
She's Japanese but based in Korea. And we just met by coincidence. We were at a what is the traditional outfits called?
Ah, Hamburg.
Yeah, a hanbok. We were
Yeah.
at like a hanbok rental store,
Okay.
and I was waiting for some people to rent a hanbok, and I didn't want to wear one.
Okay.
And she just happened to be there, and we started talking, and then suddenly I was taken on this journey around Seoul to various filming locations that BTS had been to. Because she was just so passionate and she just wanted to show me everything that she knew about BTS. And she told me that she'd been studying BTS for something like 3 years. And I said to her, you could have a PhD in BTS by this stage. But
It, it is interesting how I can't even understand how to study like a group as an example, but yeah, those like a lot of people are really into it where they go deep into like major like each member,
Mhm.
what they're interested in. But yeah, it is quite interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the main places that we went to was the National Museum in Seoul.
Mm,
And she kind of took me on this private tour. I mean, the museum was open, but it was this private tour of it was where BTS had recorded. They did like a advertisement for Seoul, like a tourism campaign in 2021. It was called
mm,
Seoul Goes On.
mm.
And then they'd also recorded their Dear Class of 2020 there, which was like a virtual commencement ceremony.
I remember.
And so we went through the museum. We were there for hours, and she knew every location that each member had filmed in. And this is the bench that J Hope sat on, and this is the wall that Taehyung stood in front of when he did a fan dance. And it was incredible. It was the most amazing experience of my life.
You
But
should
she told
open her own business and do that, I
Oh,
think.
honestly, she really could, and she was so passionate about it. And she told me that when she'd been researching all of these locations, she'd actually gone to the museum and found people that worked at the museum that were members of army and had kind of befriended these people and had found out where all of these filming locations were. So she kind of used her fan connections to figure out.
Wow.
Yeah, it was incredible.
I mean, like I said, what she should do is just open a tour.
Honestly,
And
she could have charged me hundreds of dollars and I would I would have happily paid it.
that's really fascinating, which actually sort of brings me on to a very interesting last question.
Uh-huh.
What do we know about the fan community influences once they disband or the artists go on hiatus or even faced with controversy? Now, the influencers themselves, they pride themselves of these bands.
Yeah.
That for many of them, it's their lives, right? Like the Japanese girl that you met. I mean, she is, obsessed with BTS. She loves them. She follows them. She studies them. Let's
Mhm.
say on the odd chance they're faced with controversy. It doesn't matter what controversy, just as a hypothetical situation. What do you
Yeah.
know about the fan community influences then? And like, do they lose popularity themselves? Uh do they also go on a hiatus where they don't want to be associated? Have you heard of any situation like this happen before?
Yeah, I mean, it happens all the time. There's always controversy,
Yeah.
not only in these fan communities, but just in general.
Mm.
Obviously, there's always going to be controversy. And I guess there's different levels of responsibility that the influencers experience, and that would be dependent on the relationships that they've established with their followers.
Mm,
It could be, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes these influencers function as a bridge between the idol and the fan community. So it could be that they're kind of put into these positions where they have to answer difficult questions from fans and almost
mm,
speak to the fandom, not officially, but just on behalf of the artist. It could be like, oh, he didn't mean to say that, he said it wrong, or
mm,
this is what he actually meant, that type of thing.
mm,
Uh, it could also be that a lot of times fans will put pressure on the influencer to express their own feelings on whatever controversial situation has happened.
mm,
So it could be that, maybe something really dramatic has happened in the Harry Styles fandom, or
mm,
Harry, for example.
mm,
And then the fan is like responsible for telling people how they feel and what they align with. And
mm,
I think particularly with Harry and BTS, their fan communities are so socially and politically active
mm.
that it's almost like these fan influencers have a responsibility for speaking out. I feel like to become an influencer in either of these two fandoms, the people that take on these positions know that there is that responsibility, I think.
Well, that's an interesting answer because I kind of am now curious. Let's say, for instance, there's a big controversy about Harry. The influencer then gives their opinion on the situation. And let's just say for hypothetical reasons that, Harry does something extremely bad. It causes controversy globally. Now, these influencers in the fan community, if they give their opinion, do you think that will also sway the rest of the fans because of that influencer's opinion? Or do you think that the other followers, they're just sort of interested in knowing what that influencer thinks?
I think it works both ways, to be
Mm,
honest with you. There will definitely be people that will hold an influencer accountable and say, "Well, why are you feeling this way?" Or even if something controversial happens and the influencer doesn't post about it,
mm,
there will be so much talk, maybe comments or feedback left, asking them why they haven't posted, why they haven't expressed their opinion. So there
mm.
is that responsibility as well. A lot of influencers, yeah, will feel or I guess maybe the fan communities more than the influencers will feel that they have to call out bad behavior. There's a
Yeah.
lot of policing there's a lot of policing within the fan communities. So people are uh, quite happy
Mm.
to call out other people's behavior.
That seems to be obviously a trend as well these days. I mean, a lot of uh, compared to maybe when I was younger, a lot of controversy wasn't really happening. We didn't really have influencers. We had actors and singers and musicians and everything that we looked
Mhm.
up to rather than social media influencers. But it does seem that now everybody has a say in whatever happens in the world because social media is literally a connection with the actual person.
Mhm.
You can tweet something to, let's say, Harry, and there's an off chance that even though he doesn't do social media, that he'd probably see it. That's how close social media has gotten. And it's the same with the influencers as well, where, they also have the responsibility to uphold this fan community, be a voice, maybe a second voice for their idols or whoever it
Mhm.
may be. It's a very it's so interesting how quick the world has changed ever since the social media influencer I guess phenomenon happened.
Mm, mhm.
Janie, it was absolutely a pleasure to talk to you because, to be honest with you, I have 1,000 other questions as well that I could probably ask you as well, but
We need a second episode, Walter.
I definitely think we do. So we'll definitely have you back sometime in the future, and obviously maybe something different, like, because I know that you're on different studies as well and you're looking into other things. But is there anything that you'd like to promote, example, your future studies, current works, or something that you're excited to announce or anything like that?
I was about to say Jungkook's solo album. I'm promoting that. That's out
Oh,
next month.
Yeah,
Uh,
I believe it's making big news here. All you hear when you live in South Korea is whenever BTS does something small, it's a massive thing here.
yeah. Personally, I don't really have anything to promote, but
Mm.
yeah,
But
I
no,
wish
that's
I
a
did. I wish I had a solo album coming out, but no,
Oh,
I don't.
yeah, I wish I could sing. So, anyway, thank you so much, Janey, for being here today. I'd like to thank everyone who was listening to today's episode of the Lab podcast. And once again, Janey, I hope we can speak again on this subject or something that you're also working on next time. This has been Walter Lee. You may click on your next adventure now.